One of the things that human beings have learned along the way is that it's not good to keep planting the same things in the same place over and over and over again. I had a cottage for several years out in a farming community. You know, it was a little lake, a lot of woods, and it was a great setting. But my neighbor up the road, who I got to know and visited every time I went out there, you know, we would sit there in the summer months and look out into the field, and one year there was straw, another year there was corn, another year there was soybeans, and it just kept moving through that cycle. You know, I watched that over the years because each plant takes something out of the soil and gives it back again. And so rotating the crops means that the soil stays rich and each in turn receive what they need to grow as best as they can, to full fruit. I mention that because we hear in that first reading, the author of the book of Sirach praises those godly people who've gone before. We don't even know who they are. And you know, you sit there and say, okay, I'm only here just under 2 years, and I don't know much about the people who came before here. You know, every now and then somebody will say, do you know so-and-so? They were here at the beginning. And I go, oh, no, I don't know them. You know, either I haven't met them or they're no longer here. But this place stands here as a reminder of those who've gone before us. Again and again, we see signs of that throughout our life. You know, I have a number of crucifixes in my house, and some of them were my great-grandparents, handed on. People, even though I didn't know them, what I've received from them has been a gift. You know, it was a sign of their faith, their trust, their hope in God, and that has been given to us. You know, and so there's reason to praise those who've gone before us because, like those plants that were there last year and the year before and the year before that, they nourish the soil so that those things that are planted this year will be nourished. You and I, in the same way, are nourished by our ancestors who've gone before us, and not just our ancestors, but all those people of faith who have somehow created a gift that has been passed on to us. And so today is a day of being thankful. We're moving toward the end of Mark's gospel, which is, you know, the first of the 3 gospels that we hear in the course of a single year. Mark at the beginning, Matthew will come next, and we'll end the year with Luke. And so as we move through Mark's gospel, we're coming to the end. We hear about Palm Sunday and Jesus' entrance into the city and driving out the buyers and the sellers. But there's that strange story of the fig tree. You know, it's kind of like, where did that come from? I mean, why would Jesus go up to a tree, like in this time of year, and expect it to be full of fruit? Not going to happen. You know, I don't think Jesus was that unaware, that he didn't know that it wasn't the season. Mark puts that in there more to be a symbol. Now, we think of John's gospel as being the one with symbols, but Mark likes them too. You know, in the gospel, there's that story about the young man who's following Jesus when he's arrested, and he's wearing only a sheet, and they grab at him, and he runs away naked. You know, and it's kind of like, really? First of all, why would you be out wearing only a sheet? No, just a little odd to begin with, especially in the middle of the night. But again, maybe Mark is giving us a symbol, because Mark is the one who makes it very clear that when Jesus is arrested, all of his disciples abandon him. He's left naked. Many think that it's just a symbol that Mark gives us to tell us about Jesus' predicament. The same is true with that fig tree. It wasn't that Jesus went to a fig tree and expected it to be in fruit when it wasn't the right season. It's more of going into Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a city that God had planted. It was to be the holy city. the place where people came to nourish their faith and to grow in relationship with God. And Jesus walks in and he says, this has nothing to do with faith. This has a whole lot to do with business, getting ahead. Somehow, this is all wrong. It's like that fig tree that's barren and will end up being withered. It's more of a symbol. And I sit there and I say, okay, so putting these two readings together, what does it say to me today? And it's one of those things that it strikes me that, there are ones who are coming after me. And how do I nourish them with the faith that I've received? How do I share it in a way that will help them when they finally get ready to take on faith in their life, when they finally realize that they really do need God? What have I given them that will help them? It's something worth pondering today. No, it doesn't mean that I will see that happen in my lifetime. But I hope that those who come after me, that somehow I will have nourished them enough so that when it comes time for that to bear fruit, it will happen. I don't have control over when. Jesus said, if you have faith enough to move mountains, it'll happen. And I go, yeah, maybe mountains, but not my nieces or my nephew, That I have to wait for. But in the meantime, to do what I can to share what I've received with them in ways that are subtle, in ways that are quiet, in ways that are faithful. To pass on to them so that when it comes time for them to grow in faith, I will have left them enough to enable them to grow, to become what the Lord has called them to be. It is a matter of putting my faith in God and faith that somehow the life I have lived is the way I'm supposed to live. And it will make a difference to others later on. I may not see it, but that's okay. I'm not called to be the harvester. I'm called mainly to be the planter. And I put the seed there hoping that it will draw nourishment from what has gone before it and grow to give nourishment to others. I think that's the task of us all. And so on this rainy, cool spring day, we pray that growth will be assured, not just in the fields, but in the lives of those who will come after us.